All right, so now that we know what the preferences we need to have for the podcast to work, and we know that as a podcaster, we need to be on a Mac or a PC for the recording to be locally stored, I'm going to go ahead and start our call. Now, I don't have somebody I'm connecting to, so it's going to be a little bit different because all you're going to see is, well, me and my meeting ID. It's fairly lonely in here. But you'll be able to see what we're going to be doing next. Once you initiate your call, go ahead and you'll unmute your mic. And this is good to do before all your participants get there because you want to make sure, if you notice right here, I have a dancing green bar in my microphone. That tells you that your microphone, the specific microphone that you have, is connected and it's recording. We can double check that by hitting the triangle chevron, and we can make sure that our microphone that we want to use is selected. Now, this is a good time to think about microphones for your show. Now, if you're like me and you have a nice microphone, or if you're borrowing a microphone from the Student Technology Center or Classroom Services, you can make sure that it's selected here. Now, in these remote times, maybe you aren't able to get a microphone or you don't have one. Then think about the microphones you may have, whether it's a good set of earbuds or even cabled earbuds that you got from your Apple or Android device. Or if you have a good microphone even on your laptop. But try to get something that's fairly close to you so that you get good isolated audio. That's a really key feature when you're doing a podcast. So whatever the case may be for you, when you're in your call, you're going to go ahead and unmute your microphone and also check and make sure that the source that you want to record is selected. Once you have that and you're satisfied with how the microphone is set up, what we're able to do is we can even check the audio settings to make sure that it is loud enough for you. Now, by default, when we're on our microphone, the tick box automatically adjust microphone volume will be selected. And that is really kind of the starting place for you, especially if you don't know how your voice dynamics are. So if you're like me and you're kind of a gregarious idiot with a microphone, you're all over the place, you're very animated, and if you get loud, you'll notice that the input volume will level itself automatically. And that's what I encourage you to leave on, unless you're very, very practiced with what your equipment is and how you are as a presenter. So now that we've tested our microphone and we're okay with the leveling, I'm going to go ahead and close back out and notice that we're still in our call, which is great. The next part we're going to do is go ahead and start recording. Now, at this point, we're going to make some assumptions. I would actually go to manage my participants to see that my participants are there, make sure that their microphones are unmuted. Again, I don't have any participants for this tutorial, but this is where you would look. I'm going to go ahead and, before I hit record, two things. Professional tip. Especially in the United States, there's a lot of state legislation that states that if you record any kind of call as an ethical podcaster or journalist or anybody who's human, you have to inform the person on the other end that this call will be recorded. Now, Zoom, I believe, if you don't even do this, it'll say once you hit record, this call is being recorded. But my professional tip to you is, as a podcaster, before you hit the big red button, check in with your remote person and just say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and hit record. Is that okay? And just get their consent. It's good professional courtesy and it's good practice to get into. So, you ready to get recorded? I'm going to go ahead and push recorded. And when I hit record, you notice that now over here in the participants list for me, the big red button is pulsing, my mic is going, and I now have a pause and stop button. Now, at this point, we're off to the races. We'll go ahead and start our show and start your interview as you normally would. So if you're doing this all in one take, you might say the name of your show. Hey, welcome to the Class Podcast, episode 20. I'm your host, AJ Barcet with A2S and STC. And on the phone today is, and you would go into your show. Now, you may not want to do that all in Zoom. Maybe you have the idea that you're going to do that in post-production, and maybe you'll just jump straight into your interview. So on the phone today, calling from all the way from the United Kingdom is Darren. Darren, how are you doing today? So you'll be able to just go and have a normal call as you normally would. But bear in mind, you are on your show. So be your best presence and be your personality, because that you won't be able to fix in post. Once we have all of our show stuff done, I'm going to go ahead and come back down and hit pause. The recording will be paused and you can check in with your interviewee. Hey, did we miss anything? Is there anything else you can think about? You're going to go through that really quickly, and if everything is good, you can go ahead and hit stop recording. Once you hit stop, it'll tell you that the recorded file will be converted to an MP4 after the meeting ends. So at this point, you're kind of off the record. You can talk and touch base with your interviewee. Hey, thanks so much for coming up on the show. I really appreciate it. I'll get back to you once the file goes up. Something like that. Once you're done, you're going to go ahead and sign off and say goodbye to your person and say end meeting. When you do, it'll ask you, are you sure? And I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting for all because, again, you are the host. Once you do, you'll get this prompt that says converting meeting recording, and it may take several minutes. Once you do, where it's stored on your machine or on your external drive, it will show up, and you will get a video file of the recorded call as well as your audio recordings. Now, right now, because I was the only one in the call, there's only one track. But if you did that tick box that we mentioned earlier, you would have as many audio tracks as callers. And that is how you're going to go ahead and sync those up in post. So that concludes this part of podcasting using Zoom. Be sure to check the Student Technology Center for workshops, whether it's grounded or in the online environment. We have things like GarageBand and Audacity workshops that will help you be able to do podcasting, whether remotely or in face-to-face. And if you have any other questions, be sure to check the STC's website, stc.wwu.edu, for details and updates, or you can also email the Student Technology Center directly. Again, from the Student Technology Center, thank you so much for hanging with us in this tutorial.